April 2021, Grand Cross was at a low point. It's just come off 2 collaborations with Stranger Things and also ReZero. The rates were at all-time low, and there weren't enough content in the game. Many players and YouTubers themselves started voicing their concern, and the big question was, where is all the content? There's nothing to do in Grand Cross.
And I feel like Double Collab has just like left me in a point where I'm like, what am I doing, man? You know, why am I spending so much money on this game if there's like no meaningful content?
Despite all the complaints, nothing was done, and a few weeks later we got our first festival character since the collabs, and this was a massive game changer. Purgatory Barn released to Grand Cross and he was broken. Not only did he ruin PvP, many people quit the game just because of him. He was the first festival to introduce the 6-6 abilities, and to say this guy changed Grand Cross would be an understatement. It really couldn't get much lower than this. Netmarble had to do something, and well, only a few days later, they did it. June 2nd, 2021, Grand Cross tweeted out this cryptic video with a countdown towards something.
また会ったな。ドラゴンの文様を持つ者よ。罪を切る。この剣で。
For 2 more days, Grand Cross continued to tweet out more teasers towards what this countdown was, and many people started theorizing what it could be. All we had was Ragnarok. What could this mean? Could it be a new teaser for a new collaboration with Records of Ragnarok? Could it be a new collaboration with the movie? People were trying to distinguish the voice actors and what the sound effects and what the swords were. But then the day came. Hours of speculation about what this collaboration could be, but no one was ready for what was about to happen. All players from around the world was ready to see what this event was. 70s Ragnarok was about to change Grand Cross forever, and no one saw it coming.
I was not anticipating this to be actually animated.
The content.
Oh my gosh.
Whoa,
look at that outfit! That was sick too!
Holy shit! Right.
Whoa, whoa. Oh my gosh.
What's going on?
What?
Hold on.
Look at this! Who is this? This is sick!
Yo! Oh! Wait, hold up! Oh!
Ladies and gentlemen, now I've just woken up to the news of Ragnarok, and oh my god, this has absolutely blown me away. I cannot believe that they've been working on something this big, this exciting, that literally changes the whole dynamic of the game moving forward.
What was probably the hypest moment in Grand Cross, maybe next towards Escanor being revealed for the first time in Global, it was a good time to be a Grand Cross player. Seeing all the sins in beautiful animation when we got really bad animation for the last 2 seasons was a joy to see. But it didn't stop there. We got more news about what was coming. New characters, new updates, new story mode, a bunch of new content that was going to bring back life towards the game. At the time, Grand Cross was looking like it was dying, but this revealed a 2-year plan to keep the game going to where Grand Cross actually had a bright future. And it kinda did. The first update released with 3 new characters with Sigurd, Fauna, and also a new Lost Fane Meliodas. We got a bunch of free gems, a bunch of free awards. Ragnarok was looking promising. But then the first problem came, and that was expectations. While the update was very, very good, people really liked it, one thing people kept asking was, where's the anime? I would put this more on a translation error, but this statement right here, where they do say, if seen as an anime, referring to the whole Ragnarok story in Grand Cross, it would be around 24 episodes. And many people interpreted that statement as it's going to be an anime, that we were going to get 24 different episodes with actual beautiful animation like we saw in the trailer. And this put the expectations so high, and to be fair, to this day, I'm still seeing people saying, where's the anime, as if they promised it. And while this wasn't really a factor for Ragnarok failing, the expectations were probably a bit too high for this event. The first chapter dropped and it was pretty good. A lot of teasers towards what was to come a part of the story, many new characters, good fight scenes. It was overall a pretty good story. But then Chapter 2 came, and Chapter 2, I'd say a lot of people would agree that it weren't that good comparable to the first one. But then, like planned, every 2 months we did get a new story chapter, and it was still decent, nothing too crazy, but many people gave them the benefit of the doubt that it's just the start of the story, nothing's crazy happens yet, we haven't seen any major fights. So we waited, and we waited many months, we got new chapters, and well, now it's been around 6 to 7 months since we've gotten the last Ragnarok chapter. Yep, netmarble has completely forgotten about this update, and they have not mentioned it at all. Which is a shame, because we were at a good point in the story mode. We've just gotten one of the fan favorite characters, Freya, in the story mode, who's yet to become a character, but probably will come sometime next year. And now we probably won't see a Ragnarok chapter, if we're lucky, until January next year. I mean, if the 2-month gap wasn't already long enough, to wait almost 6 to 7 months to get a chapter, no one's going to care now. And I do think this is partly because of Severson's origins. I mean, the day they announced it, Grand Cross took a massive dip in quality. But then you could say they just don't have time to animate the cutscenes that frequently. But then you realize that Grand Cross themselves have been dropping random events with actual anime cutscenes. We got one recently with the OC event where they had to go exploring like a little circus. We got one with the Sins, and I believe we got one with the Autumn event as well. Now, while I definitely like the fact that animated random events that no one asked for, the stuff that we do ask for, like Ragnarok, we are not getting. We're still getting the Sins content, that's fine, but we're not getting Ragnarok, which is still weird. And the fact they haven't acknowledged it at all for the last few months now is honestly a bit ridiculous. Many players to this day have been asking to buff old characters, and Holy Relics looked like to be the answer towards that. Holy Relics was a new feature in Grand Cross with the Ragnarok update to add a new passive towards new characters, and many players, including myself, had hoped this would be a way to buff old characters by making you grind a certain resource rather than just getting a massive stat buff. And well, it didn't really work out like that. While the Holy Relic system did make some more characters usable like Twiggo, it didn't really make a lot of characters more usable like we'd hoped. The characters didn't really get a massive stat buff with the main stat weapon. The passives for many characters are basically useless and don't really buff the character too much. In fact, the ones that got the biggest buff were the ones who didn't need the buff. Purgatory Barn was one of the first characters to get a relic, which made the character even more broken when he was already one of the best characters in the game. The Holy Relic feature in Grand Cross was kind of a miss. Honestly, a lot of characters do benefit from relics, like Chandler for example, and also a lot of the collab characters. And while yes, there are a lot of characters right now in Grand Cross that do get a massive buff of relic, there are definitely more that don't. And I feel like netmarble kind of missed it with that part. But to make these massive Holy Relics, you had to defeat the demonic beat battle. And this was a good addition towards the game. This was endgame PvE content that you could do weekly. But there was one problem. The relics that came along with them were quite broken. Namely Purgatory Barn, who, if he got a relic, he was one of the best characters in the game at the time. And the only way to get the relic was to defeat one of the hardest quests in the game that no one could really do. But what you could do was spend money to buy the relics, because the game at that point was definitely pay to win. Netmarble did go back and change it so you can only purchase the pack once, but the damage is already done. But as time went on, the game got easier. Many new characters came out. We got more characters specifically made for the actual raid bosses. And it was fine, honestly. We then got our second demonic beat battle, which was the deer, which followed the same pattern as the bird. The deer came out. It was very hard. We got new characters to make it easier. We got more nerfs towards the deer. And now both of them were arguably even a joke. Almost a year later, we got the new one, which is Skull and Hearty, and this didn't really follow the same pattern. The two characters that came out to make the raid boss easier, which was Fauna and also Freya, aren't really on the same level as also Magelda and Jormungandr, so already now it's already a lot harder. So far, there have been no nerfs towards the boss like how we saw the last two demonic beat battles, and well, since we haven't gotten a Ragnarok chapter in such a long time now, no Ragnarok character has come out since then to make it even more easier. And since we haven't gotten a Ragnarok chapter in months now, they haven't dropped any relics for the demonic beat battles, even for the old ones. In Grand Cross right now, we do have a ticket banner which guarantees you an SSR with a massive pool of characters, and unfortunately all of the actual Ragnarok characters, including the Sins, do not go into this ticket banner. Massive L, especially when you actually need the characters, especially Freya for example, who needs to be duped out for the raid boss. This makes acquiring the characters so much harder when a lot of them are needed for a lot of the PvE content, and also they are needed to be duped out too, which in turn just makes the game so much harder for new players and even players that don't spend money on a lot of banners. 76 Ragnarok was supposed to be the light to bring Grand Cross back from the dead, and while it did do that, it didn't do the best job here. Once again, with what I said throughout the video, the relic system was a massive mess at the start. Even to this day, we only really care about the good characters getting relics rather than the bad ones. Super delayed updates of relics, and even the art chapters themselves is not coming out. Overall, the Ragnarok experience in Grand Cross hasn't been the greatest. I would even say below average to what we expected it to be, and unfortunately, it just didn't save Grand Cross. And now we're heading towards the end of the year with no Ragnarok banner in sight, and unfortunately Ragnarok has been a massive failure for Grand Cross, and it's a massive shame because clearly from the actual presentation they put a lot of effort and thought into this event, so to see it just kind of be forgotten and just given up on, massively upsetting. The story itself was starting to get interesting, the characters still look really cool. Don't get me wrong, when Freya drops, when Thor drops, it's going to be a hype event. I'm really looking forward to it, but this is something that all players for Grand Cross, and to be fair, even should have gotten new players into Grand Cross, it just didn't really work out too well. So yeah, boys, at the moment that is the end of the Seven Sins arc in Grand Cross. Obviously it will continue and I'm looking forward to it, so hopefully I can make another video in the future about maybe it succeeding, but unfortunately I just do not see that happening. Series Origins looking like to be the next big thing for Grand Cross, and I guess I'm okay with that. If I had to not get Ragnarok so I can get Series Origins, I'll definitely take it. I mean, they're doing an original story themselves as well, which is probably going to be even better because they're actually using main characters rather than characters we don't really care about. So I guess I'm okay with this happening, but I would definitely love for Grand Cross to get a bit more love and attention now because Series Origins definitely taking all the attention right now. So boys, hopefully you guys did enjoy today's video. This spent a few days making this one. I wasn't able to actually record a video yesterday as well, which I guess is fine because that new Valenti actually wasn't too great, so I just didn't even bother talking about her. But yeah, boys, thank you for watching, and yeah, peace.